Hello everyone, me and Phil are still in the Rosedale Valley. We're continuing our little trek. So we had a look in the last video at Rosedale West at the remains there. We're now following the trackbed, the 1861 trackbed to Blakey Junction. We're going to have a look at some remains there. Then we're going to follow it all the way around to Rosedale East, which Phil's telling me came a couple of years later. And we'll have a look at some remains there, but that's in the next video. This one, we're literally just doing the walking between the two, which is about 9 miles. But there's plenty of remains in between, some mines, which is open, which, you know, health and safety. So we'll have a little look at that and we'll see what else we can find. Need to stop me eating like this, and then by the 5th time it's just all. Here we go. So this is the Rosedale Valley. We're in the North Yorkshire Moors National Park. Back there, just over that little hill there, that's where we had a look at those Rosedale West Kilns. Now, Phil's having a run up here because there was a reservoir just off the line. We're not exactly sure where, hence why he's going to have a quick pictures up. There was a reservoir, and that reservoir provided water for the engines. So there was one man who was basically employed to live in a little house on top of it, which annoyingly is gone now. So, you know, we can't find. That would have given us a clue, obviously, to where the reservoir is. So that's annoying. But the house isn't there anymore. But he just lived in that house, and his job during the winter was just to make sure that all the water kept flowing and didn't freeze. Because obviously, if it froze, and so didn't then come down to the engines, you know, all hell would break loose, because this line was running constantly, and those blast furnaces on both sides of this valley were just going like the clappers. What a job. So still trekking along the track bed. Can you see in the very distance there, you see where that land kind of outcrops a bit? That is Rosedale East. They are the Iron Kilns, and that's where we're walking to. Unfortunately, we've got to follow the valley all the way around, the edge of it all the way. So it's a fair few miles, which is kind of killer really, because I can see it, I can nearly touch it. But unfortunately, it's going to be quite a trek. I say unfortunately, obviously, I love walking, that's the whole point of it. But it is a pretty grim day, and we are seriously exposed to the elements up here. So, on a day like today, I'd rather be walking 1.8 miles and not 9 miles, but needs must. There's very few remains at this point. We're about to come to some serious remains, but I'm just gonna stick my foot across that. Oh my goodness me, my groin isn't meant to stretch that far. These are original culverts then. These are from when they put the line in 1861. Just because there's so much water flowing off the, I don't know how I'm going to get my legs back from where I am. But there should be quite a few of them along, and Phil's saying that some of them you can actually walk through, which is kind of crazy. You've got a better view now over there. That's where we're walking to. You can just sort of see the start of the Iron Kilns now. We've got to follow this whole track bed around the edge of the valley. That little cottage down there, that's part of a mine, which was Thorsbury mine, you say, which is just there. And there were drift mines coming in, so they were boring in for thousands of feet inland, and then we're going to come to something which is called Sheriff's Pit, and the drift mines coming in from here actually went to the bottom of that, and then they would haul stuff up this 170 foot. It's fenced off now, I think. Well, I hope it is, because I'm one of those people that end up going down it. But hopefully you can get a little bit of footage above that. I'm hoping the rain's going to clear off so I can actually get the drone up at some point today, because there's such incredible scenery, it seems like a bit of a shame. Down there. So there's another one of those culverts. We can see, look, the lid's fallen off the top of that, which is kind of creating a bit of a pooling. But look, that's how good the iron was around here. You can still see it now in the water. That brown is the iron content. This area of North Yorkshire is kind of known as the Land of Iron, and there is a website called Land of Iron where actually we've looked at quite a lot of the pictures, and it's an amazing website with loads of information. Just to recap, because I've just realised it's a totally separate video, this line well, this area, this valley, the Rosedale Valley, was kind of mined and quarried for quite a long time, wasn't it, even before? And then
Limited though, we're
yeah, and then in sort of 1856, there's some inclines built, and you know, kind of discovered that this iron content around here was incredible. This railway that we're walking now, the Rosedale Railway, was built in 1861, and it comes from Rosedale West, which is where we did the last video. It comes round, and then it went up at Blakey Junction over the Ingleby incline, which we've done before. And down into a place called Battersby, and that was where it was then taken off to, you know, Teesside up to Middlesbrough and stuff like that, up to the furnaces up there. It went in 1929, so with all the remains that we're going to find, they're at least as old as 1929 in terms of when they went, but some of them went earlier than that, like a lot earlier than that, which is really crazy, because as I mentioned in the last video, like, me and Phil do loads of these walks on railways that went in the late 60s, sometimes early 70s, and there's nothing there. And here we are on a walk, you know, that was a railway that closed in 1929, and there's tons of stuff. So I don't think we're too far from Sheriff's Pit now. You can just see that little structure there. I'm going to put my finger on it. Bosh. That, Phil thinks, is basically the manager's gaff, isn't it? What's left of it for Sheriff's Pit. So we're not too far away now. Obligatory apologies for the rain and the wind and the noise. Look at all that burnt off land. I'm not sure what the reason is behind that. There's that kind of shell of that pad. And if you can just make out the green sort of fencing, that's going around this big, deep, 170 odd foot shaft of Sheriff's Pit. And I can see one of those information boards, so hopefully that'll give us some nice visuals of what it looked like.
And if you wonder why Sheriff, it's a weird name for a pit, isn't it? You know, I mean, what? A sheriff? Was he sheriff? But from what I read, one of the early guys who found all the crack around here, he was called Sheriff. Right. So, for some reason, they probably thought, named after him. Yeah. Maybe he was part of the discovery of the Sheriff's Pit as well,
yeah.
As, you know, the rest of the gap. Yeah.
I sunk the sheriff. Is that Bob Marley? I'm going to show a visual from this sort of angle, because here there was a big sort of winding arm and all sorts, and that was a bunch of houses, and from the distance it really looked like something imposing, but look, it's literally one wall. That's all that's left of this, you know. So here we go. So from that angle that we just filmed a second ago, that is going down into that bit there with the fencing.
That's the fella's house, pit manager's house.
Yeah, and all that's left is literally that little L-shaped corner. And there it is. And this drift mine, this is what comes underneath here and came out at the bottom there, just, you know, where those trees are, just below there, where we showed that house just a second ago. There he is at the top of the shaft. And there's a bird for some reason. I've noticed, we've been saying, or I've been saying, 170. It's 270 feet
That's my
deep.
fault.
Wow. And that's how long that tramway was underneath. Here, there is another picture which we're going to get up. There should be a fella here. Now, this geezer is weighing the ironstone that's coming up, and there's a guy here, which I hope we'll be able to find the actual image, who is basically making sure it's legit, because the guys that were going down and getting it, they were paid by the weight, weren't they?
They had a token that they used to keep them on the uniform, and when they filled a trolley, they put it on, it were sent in, and it was to make sure they got paid the correct amount for what they managed.
Make sure they weren't being shafted out the shaft. Okay, so we come up to the fence. So there's 270 feet down, and this had this big kind of structure obviously built on the top of it, but it's just insane. 270 feet all the way down there. Bosh. Some lads did send a camera down on a rope, and I saw that on YouTube. So what I'll do is I'll show kind of 10 seconds of that so you can have a look at it. There's a load of water at the bottom. Well, not even at the bottom. It doesn't look that deep because you can see the water, but it is obviously 270 feet, and the water has just come up and risen up and risen up. So we think this was a series of sidings, because that's man-made. There's the mine over there. You can see the way the land lies, that you'd have a bunch of sidings coming in off of this main trek. So Phil's telling me this mine opened and then closed down early doors. And then when the railway came here in 1861, they realised that actually they could use the railway to shed more stuff out. So they actually reopened it. And it went in what, 1917?
I think it went way before the rest of the line went. Yeah, I think they exhausted everything because they were bringing it out at a much higher rate because you could get rid of it much quicker. You know, it went flapping around with awesome cars, taking it quicker. It was straight out. So you imagine production was quicker, there were probably more men here because everybody had turned up here. So they exhausted the supply out of things much quicker. And then, there you go, see you later, we're done.
Yeah, we're done here. Without the fact that it's actually brightening up ever so slightly and we're walking in completely the wrong direction. So we've come into a little cutting now. It's not made any difference to the wind whatsoever. But as you can imagine, because of how grim it is up here, in the winter when it snowed, it seriously snowed, and this would become blocks, wouldn't it, Phil?
Yep.
You're telling me they had snow ploughs?
Yeah, they had snow ploughs, and they were different to other snow ploughs in the fact that they couldn't build them with 3 axles because when it came to you know, sending them for maintenance or whatever, they wouldn't have gone over the pivot of the incline because of the wheel in the middle. It would be like, I can imagine it had come unstuck, so there had to be two axle ones, and there were 2 of them. I think they were normally kept up at Blakey Junction here, and they were usually shoved either end of 2 steam engines, and off they went, and everyone had to hook in. And there's some pictures knocking about where there's 3 steam engines, believe it or not, with the plough each end and a guards vans, but they found that it was too powerful, I think I read, and it was causing problems for having, so they always had 2 steam engines, 2 brake vans and 2 snow ploughs. And some of the people in the snow plough, you could actually stay in them. There was, well, I won't say living quarters, but there was facilities if you got stranded. You would have
could survive basically,
supply.
yeah.
Well, all the tools were kept in the bottom of the snow ploughs, but they had to be brought out and chucked on the top because once they got to the snow plough here, they wouldn't have been able to get the tools. So they had to think about what they were doing and make sure they were well equipped. And if they got stuck, they obviously had to have some supplies. I mean, they might have had a full day. Can you imagine freezing your head off?
Yeah, overnight or something. Oh, mate.
With no supplies, you've had it, haven't you? So
yeah,
you had to really think about it. We never think about anything like that.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, working up here, especially in those days, you know, you're not going to just grab the phone and, you know, someone to come and save you. So they had to think about surviving, didn't they? And yeah. Phil was saying to me earlier, like if these became blocked, that meant the line became blocked, which meant everything down the line became blocked. So all the kilns and the mine and everything would have stopped, and obviously these people, these miners, are getting paid per, you know, weight, and suddenly that stops, which means their wages stop, which means the families aren't getting fed. So that snow needed clearing pretty damn sharpish. It's getting worse now. We've lost the kilns from the other side. The mist has come in and sort of blinding us a bit. It's a bit stars in their eyes now.
Blakey Junction, mate.
Okay, Blakey Junction. I'm seeing cars.
Yeah.
You can drive up there.
Mist.
Right, so we don't actually know what this is.
No, I can't. I don't know if it's decorative. I don't think it's original. I don't know.
No, but we've trekked up, and it's. I mean, yeah, we can't see anything now, but we have seen more humans. We were just talking a minute ago about the fact that on the entire walk that we've done, we've seen 1 lad.
Yeah, that's very weird. So I heard the cars, and I knew we were coming to Blake.
That's quite a busy road.
Yeah, because it's the main road. I thought, hey, we're nearly there, and then that stuff just loomed out of the mist. And there's actually 2 people in the car, so civil.
Got you. So we're coming up to Blakey Junction then. So that's that road. So in a minute, the line will go off up to Ingleby Incline where we were before. We're not going to take that route. Obviously, we're going to follow it round to the right and try and come round to those kilns that we could see a fair while ago, but now long gone. So the line there, that's Blakey Junction. Obviously that's been filled in. That goes off. You can just see a little bit of a wall there. That's the top. Yeah, that's the top of the bridge. That goes off to Ingleby, which we will do another time. We will fill in that gap from the Ingleby incline top to here, because I hate leaving things unfinished. But that's not the walk we're doing now. So we've come down here from Rosedale West. This bit here was opened in 1861. This bit that we're going to follow around here, where those sheepies are, that was built 2 years later in 1863, when they realised that actually there was more going on, and they built those kilns that are right on the other side there that you could see obviously earlier in the video, which you can't now. So let's have a look. What pictures have we got here, Phil?
They're a bit premature, these pictures, because a lot of them are right down there. We're nowhere near there yet, to be honest with you. The only thing that's applicable to where we stood at the moment is probably, well, I can't say anything that's applicable to here.
So that's them cutting it out then?
Yeah, that's them making it, yeah.
That's them cutting it out, which I'm guessing is them cutting out that section there.
Well,
Now,
they've not put a single picture of Blakey Junction on.
No, they haven't. See, that's where we've been.
Yeah.
In the last video.
That's not far from here, to be fair, a water
There.
tower, fair enough.
And there's the black houses, which we'll get to in a bit.
Yeah.
And these are the ones that we're heading to. Now we'll walk as far as them, and then we'll say goodbye, because we're going to do a whole separate video on them, because they just look amazing. So just here on this green, that was the site of some workers' houses. Phil's saying there's a picture of people stood outside there, which I'll try and find, and then the line going off there. Obviously, because we're covering some sort of serious mileage, I'm not going to keep rolling the whole entire time, because one, my battery would run out, and two, you'd be dead bored. But when I wasn't filming, Phil was telling me a story about some lads that lived here that used to go down to a dance.
Oh yeah, it's quite hard to imagine. So yeah, down at Rosedale East, I don't know if they were railway workers or what they were. They used to unofficially put a guards van that had been rested for the weekend on the, I don't know whether it was the last train that used to come up to Blakey, and there's an unofficial way they used to dump the guards in a siding that was stood here, and they used to go from here somewhere to some kind of sort of dance, you know, as it were in them days, all niceness and
Meet some
women.
women.
It was a bit of a gig for the young lads, wasn't it? Then they used to roll back at night, and because it doesn't look it from here though, if you look at it, but this was on an incline constantly going down, and they must have either had to pushed it so far and then they just released the brake and they just went home all the way down on the brake van, and they parked it back up so none of the gaffers knew that they'd had a night out. It kind of sounds a slight bit romantic, but how true it is, I don't know.
I like it.
It's a good story though.
It's a good story. I like the idea of that, and I can imagine it happening, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
You have a bunch of lads together somewhere as remote as this, they're going to be getting up to no good. So you can see it's going down. So when you go the other side, I mean, can you make them out yet? I've lost where we are now,
You're
Phil.
losing them. The ledge is there, look, but it goes
Yeah.
on another horseshoe there, look.
Yeah. So it is lower than we are now. So maybe, you know, it would have been quite a sort of slow sort of roll down. But if they'd let the brake off and kind of just rolled down.
It does dip a bit, look, once you get past it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Rolled down.
But they was going to build a triangle here, you know, originally. You know how you've got this line, and when they came up here, they were facing the wrong way to go to Ingleby. But they did plan a triangle here, so that trains could just come round here and go fast about with the junction, go around the curve. They drew up the plans, and it's on some early plans, but they never did it. I don't know why. Strange, isn't it? It makes sort of sense, doesn't it? They would have missed Blakey Junction out.
Yeah, makes sense. So what, these birds are making the weirdest noises. There's a load of them down there. One made me jump earlier, but I wasn't filming. You're starting to brighten up a little bit now, isn't it, Phil?
At last.
At last, yeah. I've had a pork pie as well, so I'm well in the game now. Let me turn you around. There's an old water tower. There you go. So you can see the track bed on the other side now as well. So that's where we're following. You see that little waterfall? We'll get right close to that. And there's the kilns there. We can see them again now. But this water tower, this is all that remains. But you're saying it used to have like a big, well, I guess, iron thing on the top, big tank.
Yeah, but I mean, look at that now. That doesn't look like a water tower, does it? It could be anything, couldn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, it obviously had a window in it, so it was a rectangle with a big metal tank, a catchment one, as opposed to a pressure-driven one. And I think what I read was basically the engines were getting pretty shafted on the way up from Rosedale East because of this gradient that we've already spoken about. They were limited to 8 trucks anyway because they couldn't get up otherwise, and they was about at it when they got up here. So they put this as a precaution so they could stop. You know, you don't want to break down, do you? Because that scenario of everything come to a standstill.
Yeah,
Doesn't it? So they would often stop here and just get some water on and carry on. Yeah, it's strategically placed. It's hard to work out how they knew that here would be the place to put it. You know what I mean? It's hard. How would you work that out? You know?
Maybe they had a couple of breakdowns. They went, right, stick it here.
Anyway, this is all that's left because over the years it's just fell to bits.
Is it just one wall? It is, isn't it?
Well, that's all that's left.
Wow.
That's all that's standing, and you know, there's some pictures of it in one piece, but the roof, well, I say the roof, the tank was metal, so when they dismantled the whole line, that went, the contractors came and took it.
Oh yeah, straight off the
Just
scrap.
off the wall,
Yeah.
not just in bricks, are they? So
No.
basically there it was, yeah.
Look at that. Just one wall then. Let's get to the other side. It's funny, isn't it? Even when you're building a water tower halfway up, they still take the time.
Took the time, didn't they, to make it
Make it look really nice, yeah.
A little bit. Because I don't know why you need a window, because what was underneath that metal tank, I don't know.
No, they've left a little bit of metal. That's not
Yeah,
that's not gone to the scrapyard.
No.
There you go.
I think it'd have fell to bits if they'd have took that, actually.
Yeah, potentially, yeah. Okay. So we'll follow it round then. I mean, my legs are starting to ache, but I can see kind of, we're probably about halfway through, aren't we?
Almost. I mean,
yeah.
We're nearly at the head, aren't we? Look, we're almost at the head.
Yeah, and then you're just walking all the way back, and as long as you're walking back, you're walking in the right direction, aren't you?
Oh no, it's still there. Look.
Yeah. So you can see it comes right around like a big horseshoe. See, because it couldn't get across that valley. You can see there's been a big landslide at some point. We're heading all the way back there. So we've come from over there, we're coming all the way back round. But there's been a drop here, because obviously, you know,
it's gone over the years, hasn't it?
It's gone over the years, yeah. You can see that big drop there. I'm not surprised.
Can you hear that water down there? Yeah,
oh, that's really powerful, isn't it?
Something down there, isn't it? It's
yeah.
All the more streams all converging, hurtling down.
Well, given the amount of rain that we've had in the last sort of 48 hours, I'm not surprised it's going bonkers.
It's like a proper waterfall. I can't see anything.
I can see a bit through there. I can see some white, which I think is possibly what that is. But it does sound nice. It's making me need a wee, mate. There you go. There you go. Is that a railway sleeper? I can't really get across, unfortunately, but it looks like one to me. It's rotting in the right places. They always rot at the end, don't they, where the chairs sat on them.
I'll go for it.
Oh, he's got wellies on, you see. Phil's got wellies on.
Yeah, it is.
That's a sleeper.
I'm not going to break me back, but...
So that's been there from at least, from the latest 1929 that's been sat there. Wow.
Let's just move. I'm the first person to move it for 100 years.
That's insane, isn't it? Look at that. Iron Man. We're coming round now. We've come round that kind of horseshoe, and the track goes squiffy in a minute, so I'm assuming this is part of one of those landslides. Just seen some people, fair weather folk, do you know what I mean? They weren't out when it was raining, were they? But they're out now because the sun is shining.
Yeah,
sort of. Yeah, they have, yeah. Probably looking at us going, what a pair of wallies. But we're on the other side of the valley. This actually looks more like, you know, like a motocross scramble than a railway. Yeah, look at that, it's going all over the shop, but I'm guessing this is where this land has moved, isn't it? You can see. But once we get to the other side of that, there is a big waterfall. And Phil's got a story about how basically they nearly lost that whole bit of land. This isn't the track bed then. That's the track bed, but you're going to need a pair of armbands for that. So they've kind of diverted you over the top there, but that's where the line went. So that would have been, as we were talking earlier about the, you know, the snow drifts and stuff, that would have been a real killer area for that, I imagine. And it comes around. I'm guessing we're going to actually be able to drop back into it in a minute. Blakey Junction is just over there.
Do you see calling it Blakely or Blakey?
I keep calling it Blakely, so I'm guessing it's Blakey.
Blakey, yeah, I was saying Blakely at first, but that's what the guy off Dynasty is. Blakey, isn't it?
Just chucking L in there. How you doing, mate? Always chewing, aren't you?
Not talk about eating.
No. So I was saying Blakey Junction is Blakey Junction, but actually it's not as bad as last night. So where we started this at Rosedale West, in our last video, last night I called it Rosemary West, right? And for anyone around the world, Rose West is a serial killer, right? So it's quite a bad mistake. In a minute we'll get back into the cutting because we've lost the cutting, as I said. But in a minute you see the cutting just there in the distance. We actually get into it there, so we're back on the track bed again.
Look
at the speed of that, yeah. What an absolutely stunning valley. What's mad though as well is you would have had, well, thousands of people working in this valley, different mines, different kilns, running the railway line, Blakey Junction and stuff as well. It would have been an absolute hive of industry, and now you look at it and it's just like this, you know, beautiful valley with just, you know, a farm, maybe a couple of houses, and that's about it. We're coming into the biggest, whoa, that is a serious cutting. So if it snowed here, you were in big trouble. So Blakey Junction, just kind of around this sort of area there, just below where that boozer is at the top, that's where those snowplow engines were kept, so that if anything happened in that bit down towards Rosedale West, they'd send one that way, and obviously if anything got blocked on this bit of the track, then they'd have to send it down here. But judging by the height of that, I'm assuming if there's a big snowstorm, this would have been a real dodgy area for it, wouldn't it?
Yeah. What then?
Yeah, oh wow, yeah, there's people at the top, look. So this bit, like, it seems very different to the other side, because where we've been over there, you know, beautiful walk and all that, but this has got kind of got this like reddy vibe, hasn't it? You know, this
Nice.
this sort of, yeah, maroon vibe that isn't over the other side. Well, it is actually in pockets, look, but not at the size of this.
Probably because it's bright enough, though, really.
Yeah, maybe,
Kind
yeah,
of, you know,
yeah. We're looking through.
now.
We're looking through, yeah.
And it's
Rosedale tinted
heading
glasses.
homeward almost, kind of. We've got positive vibes, haven't we?
Oh wow, look at that as well. That is beautiful. I do like me a waterfall. So this particular bit of the track bed, they had to seriously reinforce, because I think the culvert that's underneath that became blocked.
Yeah, I think what happened, this chap, this Brisby guy, was real proper expert in all this, you know, a proper expert on the industrial pass around here. I think when they'd been up here in 2000, he noticed water level starting to rise here, and he went down and saw that the culvert was barely functioning. So obviously, you imagine if this isn't built as a dam, is it? This water level was going to obviously start to rise, and this would have gone. And I don't think there's any indications to set a light or anything, but you turn round now and look down there. If you've got God knows how much thousands of gallons of water here, this collapsed.
It's gone,
it's
bang.
got some grief in it.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolute
You can
nightmare.
see the culvert there where it came out. So it was basically all full of crap. So they had to, he alerted the authorities, and after a while, with the grant as well, they managed to get some machines up here. They got down there and they dug the culvert back out again. So luckily now, as you can see,
yeah, it's
sort of
flowing.
down to the curve
Nice,
there.
yeah.
But this here would have, this would have gone, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
If this were full of water, this would have just gone. So.
Yeah, look at all that. Especially because, you know, the storm that we've had over the last sort of day or two. There's a sleeper down there as well, look.
Yeah,
by the look of it. Yeah, lurking away there.
There's also a mushroom here.
Oh, he's going to kill himself for a mushroom.
Oh,
Good one?
no, I wouldn't risk it, mate. I'd drink the water probably, but I don't think I'd go for that. Sorry.
Part of me kind of wants Phil to eat one of these mushrooms just to see what happens, but he's also driving me home, so probably best not. I don't know if any of you have ever worked nights. I work nights for a bit, not for that long. And so you finish work at like 5, 6 in the morning, and you fancy a pint after work, but obviously other people that don't work nights would judge you, because it's like you're having a beer at 6 in the morning, what's wrong with you? But it's not really 6 in the morning for you, it's, you know, 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, technically. And you're saying that's exactly what they did here as well?
Yeah, I read that they made a beer available for the shift coming off, so that they were. I mean, it's hard to imagine, but yeah, they would go and want to drink. Can you imagine that? But like you just said, your body cost really.
It's the one the other way around, yeah.
So you know, they were, and they also made it available for you for them to navigate. Obviously, they wouldn't be near the hostelries very often, so they'd probably be able to buy it in bulk. You know what I mean, and bring it to their settlement. So it led to some, you know, a fair bit of unruly behaviour, you know what I mean? So you probably get Yorkshire navvies, Irish navvies, and some of the tin guys who
from Cornwall, a few
and,
beers and a scrap.
You're going to get it, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're going to get it, and I know if you read back and look, the odd incident here and there, but you just got all these fellas out here who do nothing but dig and that, and then they have a beer, and there's different actions, different cultures, and you know, they built these Methodist churches to try and keep people to promote going and behave, but it's not going to work fully, is it?
No.
So reputation for navvies, it's whether you believe it or not, are always pretty dim, isn't it, really? So, well, from what I read, the Yorkshire navvies were supposed to be the best, but the guy who wrote the article was Yorkshire.
Probably from Yorkshire,
so
yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
how true it is, but yeah, I can kind of imagine it. Raucous mob, you know.
So this is a really thin shelf, and you can just see in the distance those first set of kilns. They're the iron ones, they're the ones that came later.
I think they were built around the same time, but they were a different design, and they didn't know how good they're going to be. But you can see that they're bigger, so therefore it's, again, like we saw with them stone ones over the other end, they built one slightly bigger on the last 4. I think they were more productive than them.
Yeah, they're just slightly further
For obvious
across.
reasons. They used to have huge doors on them, steel doors.
See these lot, look with the dogs, they're out hunting. They keep waving these flags and sending those birds up that we've been trying to chat to.
I thought you were at a welcoming party.
Yeah, afraid not. So there's been a few gunshots I've heard now.
See it.
Okay, there's another huge bend as the trains came round there. It's not very forgiving either side.
No.
So here we go. We started off well in the distance. We've come all the way around another horseshoe that you can't even see, all the way around here. And just in the distance there, you can just see those kilns of Rosedale East. And that's our next video. So that's all for this one. As I say, we started off at Rosedale West. We had a look at those kilns in our last video. And then in this one, obviously, we've trekked this 10 miles all the way around to this Rosedale Railway. And now we're just outside Rosedale East. So we're going to leave it there for now. As always, thanks so much for watching. And we'll see you next time.